HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, V'melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, V'melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, V'melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom. It's so nice to be with you tonight. I'm Rabbi Jonathan Blake. Cantor Isaac Sonnet Asor and our temple president, Warren Haber, join us on the bima, and we're lifted in spirit and in song by Pete Malinverney at the piano, Jerome Morris on percussion. All of our voices are going to do the heavy lifting tonight. Take a moment, wish one another Shabbat Shalom. Find somebody you haven't yet greeted tonight. You can get out of your seats. You'll know it's time to return when we start singing. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki leolam chasto. Give thanks unto God for all of God's divine goodness, which is everlasting. Hodu in the imperative is give thanks, so Thanksgiving Jewish style. It is, if you mispronounce it, Hodu, which is Hebrew for turkey. So let this be a true Shabbat of Hodu and Hodu, of turkey leftovers, but also and especially a Shabbos of giving thanks. I'm thankful that we're together as a community. I'm thankful at a time of sorrow and heavy hearts. Our community stands strong. Thankful for signs of hope that some hostages are with their families. I'm thankful for those who are joining our congregation tonight via our live stream. And I'm thankful that amidst it all, we have smachot, we have simchas to celebrate. Tomorrow, two wonderful young men will celebrate B'nai Mitzvah here at WRT. In the morning, Russell Potak will be called forward to the Torah. In the afternoon, Benjamin Horn will be called forward to the Torah. We'd love for our two B'nai Mitzvah and their families to come up at this time and help us kindle the lights for Shabbat. to three. I'm going to count to three, and I'll say the blessing together.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
So thank you not only for kindling these lights, but for kindling the light of learning, the light of family togetherness, and truly this weekend, doubly so in your households, the light of Thanksgiving. Mazel tov. Shabbat shalom. Thank you. Continue on page 130. Lift up our voices and sing Lechun Ranana 130. L'chadodi 138.
Shamor וזמור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, לעיני שבת לקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, לעיני שבת לקבלה. Verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומי אורי. אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, לעיני שבת לקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, לעיני שבת לקבלה. אוי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, לעיני שבת לקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, לעיני שבת לקבלה. The Jewish people go by two names, by Yisrael and Yehudim, the people of Judah. The first name is given to our ancestor Jacob, meaning to struggle with both God and with humanity. And yet before we ever receive this name, Yisrael, it is in this week's Torah portion that our matriarch Leah gives us the name Yehudim, the people of Judah, quite literally the people of thanksgiving. To bear these two names is to live in balance between struggle and thanksgiving. Without thanksgiving, without paying close attention to the gifts we receive every day, however large or small, what meaning is there to the struggle of life? And at the same time, thanksgiving is made all the sweeter with an awareness of the challenges over which we have prevailed. We'll continue with the 92nd Psalm, the song of Shabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, how good it is to give thanks to the source of life, page 140. לשמך העליון.
We rise in our call to prayer 146.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We've already had a wedding tonight. When we sang Lecha Dodi, the bride came into the room and we celebrated with those words that mean, "Come, my beloved," to greet the bride being the poetic way the rabbis understood Shabbat. And this Shabbat service, this coming together between the bride of the Sabbath and the Jewish people, is always the wedding at the end of the week. And tomorrow night we have a real wedding. Tomorrow night, Rachel Arnold will solemnize marital vows with David Carlin, who grew up here in our congregation. We've united two families tonight. It's so wonderful to see the Carlin crew and the Arnold crew all together. And we've also joined two continents tonight. So welcome to our British contingent and our American contingent. At this time, David and Rachel, will you please come up to the bima? Well, I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something about Rachel. It's true in the Bible. It's true in this week's Parsha Vayetze. It's true in Friends, right? Jennifer Aniston. Okay, you don't know that. It's true for you. Rachel is worth waiting for. Rachel is worth fighting for. Rachel is worth working for. And Rachel is worth sticking around for. And if you take nothing else from this week's Torah portion in which Jacob meets Rachel and professes his love for her, and arranges with her sneaky father-in-law, Laban, to work for her for 7 years to have her hand in marriage, then that's really all you need to know about what it takes to get a Rachel. And of course, we know that when David met this Rachel, the feeling was very quickly mutual, and that each of you realized that the other was worth setting aside considerable time for. It was supposed to be 7 years and then marriage for Rachel and Jacob. Laban said, "No, how about another 7? I'm going to give you Leah first." Do you have any older siblings here? Okay, good. So we're not marrying off the wrong sister tonight. We're just so grateful to witness this ancient story made new by the love that the two of you share. And that, I hope, will give you abundant cause for todot, for the giving of thanks. Your wedding anniversary, after all, will always fall close to the American holiday of Thanksgiving. But if you follow the Jewish tradition closely, you learn that the giving of thanks is not reserved for one turkey bonanza a year, but rather it's part and parcel of daily living. The pious Jew is invited to recite 100 brachot a day. Every time we say Baruch Atah Adonai, we lift up grateful voices and grateful hearts to God. And so I'll ask the congregation in lifting up those words now, in addition to the words that give thanks to God for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this moment together. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. And by way of saying Mazal Tov and celebrating before we really celebrate under the chuppah tomorrow night, our own cantor Isaac Sonnet Asor not only has a special piece of music, he actually wrote a special piece of music just for this occasion. It's a piece called 7 Years, and it's a dedication to the love that you experience, the kind of love that Yaakov professed for his Rachel. So as you take your seats with your family, you can receive this blessing in song. Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
ויעבוד יעקב ברחל 7 שנים. ויהיו בעיניו כימים אחדים. באהבתו 7 years passed like days, so it seemed. 7 years passed like days, so it seemed. All because of their love, all because of their love, all because of their love, only days. 7 years passed like days, so it seemed.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meotecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם נאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. I see what you've done, my friend. I'm looking at the cue sheet, and I see that you've put a special melody down for Micha Mocha that teases the upcoming holiday. So here we go. Page 158.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Jewish legend imagines that the very first song of Thanksgiving that just earlier we all sang together was composed by Adam and Eve on their first and only Shabbat in the Garden of Eden, knowing that after that day that they would have to leave the garden to face the wilderness. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat, a song for Shabbat, they sang. Tov lehodot ladonai, it is good to give praise, give thanks to God. Even as they left the garden, they would sing this song each week, as we still do today, preserving that memory of paradise. My friends, however faint that memory may feel, may each Shabbat continue to be a festival of thanksgiving. May it strengthen our hearts as we continue to face a world filled with struggle. As the days grow colder and darker, may it continue to warm and illumine our hearts. We continue on page 162. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם בריתורם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, ויהי נפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol V'zocher Chasadei Avot ve'imahot U'mevii Geula livnei bneihem Leman Shemo be'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Abraham Be'ezrat Zara Ata Gibor le'olam Adonai Mechayei hakol ata Rav le'Hoshia Mashiv haruach U'morid hagashem Mechalkel chayim bechesed Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim Somech nofelim berofei cholim Umatir asurim Umekayem emunato Lishenei afar Michamocha ba'al gevurot Umido melach Melech mimit umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua Beneman ata leachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kdoshim bechol yom yahalelucha sela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We invite you to continue praying silently. You can daven at your own pace in your own language, and you can choose to remain standing, or whenever you feel comfortable, you may take your seats.
Giving that I learned from Cantor Jill Abramson. I believe a favorite of hers, a favorite of Pete's. You turn my morning into dancing, so that my soul might sing to you. So that my soul sing to you, and it not be still. sing praises to the Holy One, who lifts me up when I have fallen. And I cry to you to heal me, and you have answered all my prayers. Oh God, my God, forever I will thank you. Oh God, my God, forever I will thank you. Oh Decca. And I ask that you be gracious and hear me, Adonai. And I have called to you to help me, and you've supported me with joy. Oh God, my God, forever I will thank you. Oh God, my God, forever I will thank you. Oh God, my God, forever I will thank you. Oh Decca.
We rise and give honor to the Torah.
Amen, Amen, Israel, Chai. Amen, 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 Israel, Chai. Amen, 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 Israel, Chai. Amen, 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 Israel, Chai. Oh, David, Chai. Oh, David, Chai. Israel,
Once again, Shabbat Shalom. Tonight we are reading from Parashat Vayetze, the continuing adventures of Yaakov in Haran, the land of Laban and his clan, his family, where, as we described before, he meets his beloved, his Bashert, Rachel, and they all live happily ever after. No, of course that's not how it goes, it's Torah. They don't go happily ever after at all. They run into all sorts of challenges, the likes of which we'll describe in our translation of the passage. So you can follow along if you wish in the Chumash, or we will translate as we go, beginning in Genesis chapter 31. And I just need to know where our cantor chooses to start his reading.
Verse 22.
Verse 22. Okay. And for the honor of the Aliyah to the Torah tonight, we'd like to invite forward anyone who feels moved by the spirit of thanksgiving to come forward and recite the blessings before and after the reading of Torah, celebrating a special simcha in your family. That could be a monumental one, like a wedding coming up tomorrow, or a smaller but no less meaningful one, like 3 triplets coming home for Thanksgiving, just for instance. So if you have a simcha that you'd like to celebrate by way of saying a blessing in front of our congregation, I'll help you with all the tricky parts. Please come forward at this time. Okay. Cantor tells me I stalled just long enough for him to find the passage, so it's perfect. Yeah.
Oh,
That's right.
that's perfect.
Oh, it's like a little sharing Shabbat reunion on the Bima. Welcome. Welcome. Oh, good. We're international. Thank you. Welcome. Okay. Three.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacharanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vayugad Lavan beyom hashlishi ki varach Yaakov.
So let me set the stage. Yaakov has now been an indentured servant, nothing more, nothing less, to his scheming father-in-law Laban, or Laban, for almost 21 years. First, he labored for 7 years for the hand of Rachel in marriage, finds out on the wedding night he married the wrong sister, it's Leah. Works another 7 years to earn Rachel, so now we're 14, toiling all the while, continues to work another 7 years for Laban, breeding sheep, and finally he seizes a moment to escape from the almost tyrannical grip of this very charismatic and very crafty father-in-law. And so in the middle of the night, he and his family make a sneak exit. Rachel, in fact, taking with her the household idols that Laban and his family prayed to. So that's the scene. And now to translate, it was told to Laban on the 3rd day after his flight that Jacob had escaped.
ויקח את אחיו עמו, וירדוף אחריו דרך 7 ימים, וידבק אותו בהר הגלעד.
And so Laban mustered all of his clan, and he chased after Jacob a distance of 7 days until he finally caught up with him at Mount Gilad.
ויבוא אלוהים אל לבן הארמי בחלום הלילה, ויאמר לו, הישמע לך, פן תדבר עם יעקב מטוב עד רע.
Now God had informed Laban before chasing after Jacob that you must do nothing to cause harm to Jacob. You can say nothing to him, neither good nor bad.
וישג לבן את יעקב, ויעקב תקע את אוהלו בהר, ולבן תקע את אחיו בהר הגלעד.
Now, by the time Laban had caught up to Jacob, Jacob had already pitched his tent on the heights of Gilad, and Laban pitched his tent on the mountain.
ויאמר לבן ליעקב, מה עשית? ותגנוב את לבבי, ותנהג את בנותי כשביות חרב.
And Laban accused Jacob, "What have you done?" And this is, the irony here is delicious. He says, "What have you done to deceive me so?" And of course, Jacob, we know through his whole childhood and adolescent exploits, is actually the great trickster, the great deceiver of the Torah. But so is Laban. And they've been in a kind of fraud match ever since Jacob came into the household of Laban. So Laban accuses him, "What have you done?" Literally, he says, "Stealing my heart. How have you stolen my mind, my heart?" It says, "Vatignov," he was a ganef, livavi, of my heart. "Vatinaheget benotai kishivyot charev." And how have you taken my daughters as captives unto the sword?
למה נחבאת לברוח ותגנוב אותי ולא הגדת לי ואשלחך בשמחה ובשירים בטוף ובכינור.
How could you flee like this, sneaking out in the middle of the night without telling me? I would have sent you off with a simcha, he says, with festive songs and with playing of musical instruments.
ולא נטשתני לנשק לבני ולבנותי, אתה השכלת עשו.
You didn't even give me a chance to kiss my sons and daughters goodbye. How you treated me like a fool.
יש לאל ידי לעשות עמכם רע, ואלוהי אביכם אמש אמר אלי לאמור, הישמר לך מדבר עם יעקב מטוב עד רע.
It is well within my power, Laban concludes his kvetch, to cause you harm, except for the fact that the God of your ancestors told me last night, "Beware lest you say anything to Jacob, whether good or bad." Okay, 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. I trust well that all of the people who came up here with thanks in their heart that they wanted to give to our congregation did not have any encounters with your father-in-law last night at Thanksgiving dinner that caused you to flee in the middle of the night, taking your family members with you, running for your life. Probably not, although if you did, here you are, you made it. For all that brings us together each year as family, with all the complexity, as we see from our Torah stories, that families always contain, we give thanks. We bless the opportunity to join with you on our bima and with our congregation on this special Shabbat. Mazal Tov. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. The Jewish custom is that prayers for the community are reserved for the moment in the service when our most sacred emblem is out in front of us, because Torah is a witness to the unity and the strength of the Jewish people wherever we are and in whatever condition, physical and spiritual, we may find ourselves. So first we're going to say a Misha Berach Lecholim, a prayer of healing for those who are sick, and also a prayer of healing for those who are in need of spiritual strength. We think especially of those families of hostages still in Gaza, people who are caring for loved ones who were grievously wounded on October 7th or since. And we'd also like to invite you in our congregation to share names aloud if you are so moved and would like to say the name of a loved one for this prayer of healing. You can stand and offer names when my eyes meet yours. Tonight, our WRT community also prays for the healing of Binyamin Ben Reuven, Jennifer Leventhal, Jeffrey Millman, Malka Gila Batbina, Emerson Lorenzoni, Tova Bat Esther, Beth Dworetsky, Robin Weitz, Stephen Gilberg, Yochanan Ben Sipora, Judy Balsam, Ilana Bat Shmuel, Chaya Fega Bat Leah, Leah Bat Nina Bat Binyamin, Rachel Bracha, Matthew Atwood, Anthony and Elizabeth Dankner, Debbie Kapnick, Andrew Goldstein, Chava Bat Sarah, Eliyahu Chaim Ben Fredel, Sheila Fried, Malka Tzipora Bas Rachel, Tamar Bat Malka, Deborah Greenfield, Jenny Kaufman, Victoria DeLeo, Sophia Schenkler, Chris Rodriguez, Zachary Morant, Yitzchak Ben Sara, and Heschel Meir Ben David Achana. The words of the Misha Berach prayer are found on page 371.
Sheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBeracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who plants the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBeracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, a renewal of body, a renewal of spirit, and let us say
We rise and turn to page 377, a prayer for the state of Israel. Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim Yishlayu Ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shebashamayim Sur Yisrael V'Goalo. Barech et Medinat Yisrael Reishit Tzmichat Geulatenu. Hagen Alecha be'avrat chastecha ufros Alecha sukat shlomecha. Ushlach orcha v'amitcha l'rashecha sareha v'yoatzeha. V'takenem be'etzah tova milfanecha. V'natata shalom ba'aretz v'simchat olam liyoshvecha v'nomar amen. Together, O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. 678. For a few moments of learning and consideration tonight, I invite you to turn to the single sheet handout that was distributed at the beginning of the service. If you did not get one, Diane and Jeff have extra copies, and I have a few extra copies down front as well. Don't be bashful. Just raise your hand. We'll come and get them. Yeah, you can hand back. Joe's got a few. Scott got a couple. Great. Keep your hands up if you need. Because we have people who are joining us via the live stream, only somebody with a microphone can be heard across the internet, so I have to be the one to read tonight. We're reading from the very beginning of the parasha, which sets up the drama of which we learned when Cantor chanted and we translated tonight's passage. So tonight was the great escape of Yaakov from Lavan, one of the two men whom he has tricked. Jacob kind of leaves a wake of destruction and hurt feelings wherever he goes. First, he tricks his older brother, older by a minute perhaps, they're twins after all, but he tricks his older brother Esau in last week's parsha out of both birthright and blessing. In this week's parsha, he gets his comeuppance when Lavan tricks him first by making him marry the wrong sister and saying to him at the time, by the way, yeah, well, Jacob, this is not how we do it in our place, to place the younger ahead of the older. It's as if Laban is saying, yeah, we know all about you, Jacob, and the way you roll. It's not how we roll in the old country. Then Jacob eventually earns a living, becomes, as it were, an honest man, and decides the only way that you can deal with a trickster is to be a trickster. He knows, after all, what it is to be a trickster, and so he leaves under the cover of night, taking with him a lot of flocks and herds, all of his accumulated wealth, as well as his family, and gets into this argument on the heights where the two have pitched their tents and have this tense confrontation. So that's what happens this week. And then next week, he has unfinished business with Esau. So if you're kind of reading the Jacob story, it really does play like an amazing dramatic miniseries. You just got to follow it over the next few weeks. There's your incentive to come back next Shabbos. Okay. But I want to consider the opening passage, and in particular, a curious bit of Rashi, the great French sage, who comments on, if not every verse, then certainly every page of Torah, with interesting insights that are drawn from his own acuity with the text and also from his stupendous command of midrashic literature. So Rashi was not only an original thinker with lots of insight into the text of his own, but he also has this encyclopedic command of all of the rabbinic legends and traditions about the Torah stories, and he frames little nuggets from the Midrash. Let's see what Rashi has to say about the passage at the head of the Parsha. Yaakov left Beersheba and set out for Haran. So Beersheba, we probably know, is the kind of the northern part of the Negev. It's the largest city in the desert in the south of Israel. And he set out for Haran, which is in what is today Syria, what was then Aram, or the Aramean people. And Lavan, for what it's worth, is often referred to by his place name. He is Lavan HaArami, the Aramean In your Passover Haggadah, you may recognize the phrase, "My father was a wandering Aramean." In some Haggadot, they actually translate it completely differently and say, "An Aramean sought to destroy my father." Nevertheless, both of them are references to Lavan, who came from this part of the world. So Jacob is heading due north for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. Keep saying place, by the way, as if to say there might be something special about this place, and indeed there is. He had a dream. A stairway was set on the ground with its top reaching into the sky, and angels of God going up and down upon it. The Eternal was standing beside him, saying, "I am the Eternal, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. The ground on which you are lying I will assign to you and to your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants." And the line that I have put boldface around, "Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." I've highlighted it in the Hebrew as well. "V'hinei anochi imach ושמרתיך בכל אשר תלך, והשיבותיך אל האדמה הזאת, כי לא אעזובך עד אשר אם עשיתי את אשר דיברתי לך." Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Eternal was present in this place, and I did not know it." So I'm going to actually bypass all of the famous parts of this passage. Jacob's dream of the ladder, the angels going up and down, and the line, "Surely God is in this place and I did not know it," all of which have had oceans of ink of interpretive commentary spilled about those verses. I'm actually interested in the verse I highlighted, when God, somehow unbidden, standing by Jacob, says, "Remember, I'm with you. I will protect you wherever you go and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Rashi on the back. So Rashi commenting here says, and the phrase on which he's commenting specifically is "Anochi imach," so I am with you. And Rashi says, "Lefi shehaya yareh me'esav u'milavan." God says this, Rashi claims, because he was afraid of Esau and Laban. When I was a first-year rabbinical student, my wonderful professor of Rashi, Mike Hollander, Zichrono Livracha, Ben Hollander, Zichrono Livracha, of blessed memory, would have us read Rashi, and then he would say, "Ma kashe la Rashi?" What's Rashi's koshi? What is Rashi's difficulty with the text? In other words, when Rashi reads God saying to Jacob, "Remember, I am with you, I will protect you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you." Why does Rashi jump to the conclusion that Jacob was afraid of Esau and Laban? In other words, what about the text itself prompts Rashi's comment? Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, he was afraid Esau was going to murder him. So that's plausible, by the way. Fear is plausible. And by the way, Jacob has every reason to be afraid. He's alone for the first time in his life. He doesn't even have a pillow. He can only use a rock, right? It's kind of barren landscape. Traveling alone came with innumerable dangers, particularly in the ancient world. So anything could happen. But in particular, we already know that he's pissed off Esau, and that Esau's going to get him, which is why he had to self-exile in the first place. Laban, on the other hand, he hasn't even met the guy. He hasn't even met Laban, which is why it is strange that Rashi says he was afraid of what Laban would do to him, right? My best guess, by the way, you never know what was on Rashi's mind. We can only speculate. My best guess is that Rashi is struggling with the fact that God is saying this out of nowhere. Right? In other words, there's nothing Jacob has done to suggest that he's afraid. We as readers may read into the text and assume he might be afraid. I think your comment about Esau is spot on. it's more than just homesickness. He's out there in the wilderness, doesn't have a place to put his head. Okay, so God says, I'm going to reassure you. But Rashi adds something when he says he was afraid of Esau, but he also was afraid of Lavan. Almost as if Yaakov had a sixth sense that his troubles were far, far, far from over, and that Esau was only the beginning. Who knows? In any case, it is really interesting to see where Rashi takes us. So Rashi insists Jacob needed divine reassurance because his journey, far from getting easier, is actually about to get a whole lot more difficult. Jacob, I think more than any other biblical character, perhaps save for Joseph, Mike just went out. There we go. Thanks, Andrew. Perhaps save for Joseph, Jacob is a character who is molded by suffering, right? It only in the crucible of exile from his family and the estrangement from his brother who wants to murder him and being tricked into the wrong marriage by his father-in-law and 21 years of unfulfilled payment for incredibly difficult toil. Only after all of that does Jacob finally come into his own. And then shortly thereafter, there's the whole episode with Joseph and Benjamin, and he's bereaved of his only beloved son, or his favorite son. And so Jacob really suffers a lot. So let's see what the Midrash does here. This is the great collection of Midrash Rabbah, which provides an interpretation of what's going on. In other words, what exactly was Jacob afraid of? And this is a really interesting drash. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and was distressed. So in Genesis 32, we finally get what Rashi knows the Torah includes, but Jacob couldn't have known at that time, which is that he will be afraid. Okay, so if you're following the logic here, it's a great use of dramatic irony. The reader knows what God knows, which is that Jacob has some really difficult sledding coming up. First, he has to confront Laban and meet this really monstrous figure of a father-in-law, and then the really hard work of meeting Esau, who may still want to murder him for all he knows. And so 4 full chapters later, the Torah confesses, yeah, Jacob at this point was really afraid, and perhaps only mollified by the fact that God had, in this preemptive way, said, no need to be afraid, I'm with you every step of the way. Jacob was greatly afraid and was distressed. Rabbi Yehuda, son of Rabbi Eli, said, are not fear and distress identical? Now, this one's pretty easy to figure out what's going on in the Midrash. The rabbis really obsessed over every word of the Torah, and if the Torah appears to use a synonym or similar words right back to back, the Torah will say, why do we need both of these adjectives? Why do we need to learn that Jacob was both afraid and distressed? Would it had not sufficed to say he was afraid? It kind of comes with being upset or distressed. The rabbis always conclude that there is individual significance to all these words. So he's afraid and distressed. The meaning the rabbis provide is that he was afraid lest he should be slain, and he was distressed lest he should slay. So the rabbis are drawing from the strange use of 2 different ways of talking about Jacob's fear, that he was afraid of 2 different things. In these difficult confrontations with his relatives with whom he had spoiled relations, estrangement, deception, murderous intent, Jacob has reason to fear. But what's interesting is that the rabbis insist he was afraid of 2 different things. He was afraid that he might get killed. That's reasonable. Knowing what we know about Esau, entirely plausible. Esau was a big, burly guy. The last thing Esau said is, I'm going to kill him, basically. Jacob's mother said, you should probably leave the house because Esau's going to kill you. Laban, he's learned through a lot of tough luck and tough relations that even his father-in-law has not treated him like a mensch, that people will let you down, people will trick you. So he's been through a lot. But he's also afraid that he might do something he does not want to do, which is actually to kill. And it's really that double fear that resonated with me this week, because I think every Israeli who's serving in the IDF or every family member of someone serving in the IDF is in touch with both kinds of fear. The fear of death, the fear of being killed in this horrific conflict, and also something that every Israeli who enlists in the IDF, which is of course part of growing up in Israel, and every parent who sends a child off to Tzahal to enlist in the IDF feels. Not only what will happen to my child, is she safe, is he safe, will he or she be killed in this terrible conflict, but also the things that they will be asked to do to defend the state of Israel will change them, will indeed traumatize them. And every Israeli parent and every Israeli grandparent knows this. And so the fear that Israelis are feeling is actually the fear of the original Yisrael who of course was Yaakov. Yes, afraid that he might get killed, but also afraid that he might have to do the unthinkable. And as I reflected on that theme and how timely it is, I remembered an interview, I think it was on Face the Nation, with, was it Bob Schieffer? Can we watch that clip? Thanks, Andrew.
Understand the news of this terrible summer, it is hard to come away with any feeling but that we are in the midst of a world gone mad. On one side of the world, an ego-driven Russian leader seems to yearn for the time of the czars, when rulers started wars on a whim or a perceived insult, and if people died, so be it. In the Middle East, the Palestinian people find themselves in the grip of a terrorist group that has embarked on a strategy to get its own children killed in order to build sympathy for its cause, a strategy that might actually be working, at least in some quarters. Last week, I found a quote of many years ago by Golda Meir, one of Israel's early leaders, which might have been said yesterday. "We can forgive the Arabs for killing our children," she said, "but we can never forgive them for forcing us to kill their children." In a world gone mad, what is to be learned? Perhaps we should start by remembering what historian Will Durant once said. Barbarism, like the jungle, does not die out, but only retreats behind the barriers that civilization has thrown up against it, and waits there always to reclaim that to which civilization has temporarily laid claim. Back in a minute.
That was 10 years ago. Shabbat Shalom. We rise for Aleinu, page 586.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We pause in sacred remembrance of our loved ones whose Yortzeiten are commemorated on this Shabbat, as well as those taken from our midst in recent days, including the victims of the terror attacks of October 7th
and all who have fallen in battle from Israel in the week since, and all innocents who have been trapped in the conflict and whose lives have been taken. As we remember them, we'd like to acknowledge the mourners in our community by inviting you to rise in the following order. If you are within 7 days of having laid to rest your loved one, would you please rise at this time? Will those who are within a shloshim, a first 30 days of remembrance, please rise? If you are within a first year of remembering your loved one, would you please rise? Those who are observing Yahrzeit tonight, please rise. And let us all stand together as one family united in sympathy and in love as we recall those taken in recent weeks from our WRT midst: Joan Youngman, sister of Linda Feldman; Stephen Tainsky, husband of Judith Tainsky and father of Jocelyn Sontag and Stuart Tainsky, brother of Jerry Lynn Tainsky and Michael Tainsky; Edmund Mantell, husband of Nancy Mantell and father of David Mantell, Ruth Madden, and Adam Mantell; Yisrael Dardick, uncle of Lisa Alperin and Susan Chapro, mother of Ann Daniel; and those whose Yahrzeit fall tonight: Kurt Adler, Isabel Allen, William Altman, Mickey Baton, Samuel Bauman, William Cohen, Miriam Bernstein, Dorothy Bleich, Mildred Brock, Howard Bushin, Gustav Cooperman, Shirley Disick, Israel Eisert, Lorraine Field, Regina Fish, Eric Fried, Frida Friedman, Jeanette Gellin, Kenneth Glick, Saul Gold, Stephen Goldstein, Arnold Gould, Max Gutman, Judith Harold, Gilbert Kerwin, Orrin Kitsis, Brenda Koenig, Anna Cronenberg, Michael H. Ludwig, Barak Magid, Benjamin Magid, Sina Malice, Arlene Robert, Jack Rosen, Rose M. Rubens, Robert Salkoff, Edith Simon, Rosalind Simon, Sidney Sladen, Harry Solomon, Ruth Solomon, Neil Tesler, Helen Wallowitz, and Rose Zachary. If you have additional names for our commemoration, kindly offer your names at this time. Tizichronam Baruch, may their memories provide blessing. The words of the Mourner's Kaddish, we offer them together. 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam alamei amaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei d'kudasha b'richu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalom araba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimeru amen.
I'd like to thank, to start our greeters this evening, Diane and, is it on? It's not on, but I can project. Diane and Jeffrey Levin. Also, hearty mazel tov to Russell Potak and the Potak family, as well as Benjamin Horn and the Horn family for the upcoming mitzvah tomorrow. Quick announcements for the upcoming week: Torah study tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the Sifriah and via Zoom. We also have adult learning led by our very own Rabbi Blake on Thursday, November 30th at 10:15 via Zoom. Please come join the Freebirds with Rabbi Blake for a talk with Leil Leibowitz, author of the new book, How the Talmud Can Change Your Life, Surprisingly Modern Advice from a Very Old Book, on Thursday at 7 p.m. in our CJL. And Cantor Kleiman and the other cantors are leading a sing-along happy hour next Sunday, December 3rd at 5:30. Shabbat Shalom.
Two very small additions. You've probably seen an invitation in the e-blast to record yourself lighting your Hanukkah candles with your family and placing your menorah in the window. We've gotten some wonderful submissions. The cantorial team has recorded some music, and then the choir, your congregational choir, something around 30 strong, I believe, recorded a selection as well. And the videos of our congregation lighting their candles will be interspersed with this musical recording. It's going to be a beautiful community offering. And you have until the end of Sunday, hopefully while you're still together with your loved ones for the holiday. Please do submit a video to add to the rest of the collection. Thank you so much.
Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit. Ki hu yom techila mikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu vacharta, viotanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, Inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Please join in our bracha. You may wish to put your arms around the people around you as we share in our final Thanksgiving blessing for this Shabbat evening. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
B'teavon Shabbat Shalom. Makes good stuffing.
It was nice though to